So how on earth do you turn just 100 Rand into a property portfolio of more than 10 million in 3 years without involving the banks? In other words, you don't go to the bank for a loan. Now, I've achieved this last week, which is basically within 3 years. And I'm getting the question, honest, but how? How do you do this? I'm following what we call the wealth creator strategy. This strategy is what we call a skill-based investing. And without the necessary skills, it's not going to be possible. So what I'd like to do in this video is basically to take you through the process so that you can get a better understanding of what it is that I've done. When we look at investing, there's only two sides to any investment, irrespective of what you want to do. There's the risk part, and then there's the growth part. So the trick is to minimize the risk, and the second trick is, but how do we get the optimum growth, the best growth? But then there's a part that comes with it, and that is without taking any risk. Right, so if I invest just based on skills, 100 Rand, it means the most that I can lose based on the initial investment will be 100 Rand. 100 Rand then becomes my investment. To give you a comparison, if you go to a broker or someone that is handling your affairs and you give him 100 Rand, and that's all that you're going to give him, that's all that you can lose. Exactly the same principle applied when I started by taking on this challenge. And by the way, if you want to find out more about this challenge on YouTube, I've got a channel, the 500K Challenge, where you can see all of this and start following me. But now, in 3 years' time, I've done what I've said I'm going to do in 5 years' time. So what did I do? There's then three ways that we can invest. Anyone can invest. The first one is what we call expert-based investing. Expert-based investing is you work very hard for your money. You then take the money because you believe what the system is telling you, and you give it to an expert or a financial institution. In other words, it can be a broker, it can be a financial manager, it can be a certified financial planner, it can be an advisor, a fund manager, whatever they want to call them. But those people are going to follow what everyone teaches through the educational system, through the financial system. They are then going to place your products with products that we call, let's say, retirement annuity or pension funds or provident funds or unit trust or endowment policies or even fixed deposits, right? And they have to make it as complicated as possible, because when you ask them, but what is a risk? They're going to give you all this that they've learned in terms of risk management and how difficult it is in order to sound smart. That's basically what according to me, and I may be totally wrong, because this is what I've experienced in 1987 when I discovered this that I'm about to share with you. So the problem with this is that you're taking no responsibility except the responsibility to give it to someone that you maybe trust or someone that you've read about, and they are then going to place it. In other words, this simply means you've got no control over the risk because you're taking 100% risk. This means that you can't learn any skills regarding how to manage, mitigate, or eliminate risk. It is impossible. But on top of that, you've got no control over the growth, except to trust that they are going to do their work. Now, unfortunately, I would say about 95 to 96% of investors will invest this way, thinking that they're going to become rich because the financial institutions want your money and they're going to tell you this is the only way to invest. In other words, they created this problem. The problem is because they manipulate the growth, therefore they will never give you the real growth that you deserve in order to get out of the rat race. Or at least this is the way that I see it. I may be totally wrong. Now, I'm not saying that you should stop investing that way. But what I'm saying, by following this over a 10-year period, there is no ways that you get from 100 Rand or even 1,000 Rand per month to, let's say, 10 million. It is impossible. And if you do not agree with me, please let me know who has done it by investing in the products where the financial institution allows you to invest in. Right. So in the comment section, please let me know. The second way of investing is what we call value investing. Now, this is, most of you will know Warren Buffett. He has based that on Benjamin Graham, his mentor's way of investing. Now, this is typically in the stock market. It means that you have to put in a lot of time and a lot of effort to identify value companies. In other words, where the value of the company, the way that the market value that company, the true value is actually below the market value. And if you can find that deep enough, then you invest. And the trick is you keep basically forever. In other words, it's a long-term investment. And that is why eventually, according to them, the market will come to their senses. They're going to go up and index with inflation over a period of time. If it's a great company, then that's the way that you're going to make your money. Unfortunately, very few people, I would say maybe 2 or 3% of the market is doing it this way. And they get a little bit confused because these fund managers will come to you and say, but we are doing value investing based on Warren Buffett and Benjamin Graham's method of doing it. So they will, on your behalf, identify these so-called high-value companies. But the problem is you're still investing exactly the same way as an expert-based investment. In other words, you take your money, you give it to someone else. They will tell you that they're doing it. And if you're really going to find out, you're going to find out that the chances are that they are busy lying to you. It's not true. But if you are Warren Buffett or Benjamin Graham or one of these investors yourself, where you do it yourself, it means, first of all, you've taken responsibility. Secondly, you've learned that industry. You understand the industry. You understand the metrics that they are looking at, and you understand how to invest. And that is great because the chances that you're going to outperform the general, let's call it the inflation rate and the general indexes, becomes seriously great, right? But if you look at what Warren Buffett said to some of these people, he took on a challenge many years ago, a 10-year challenge, and he said, by just putting it in the average, I think it's an index of the 500 top companies in America. If you just put your money there and you don't manage it at all and you don't get a manager, you will outperform 95% to 98% of these so-called fund managers. And then someone took him on and there was $1 million reward for the winner. Of course, he won by far, where one of these so-called value fund managers said that he will outperform the top 500 companies in America, the index of that, which of course he lost. And that money then went to a welfare organization of Warren Buffett's choice. Okay, so that's the second way of investing. But then there's a third way of investing that no one or very few people talks about. And that is skill-based investing. Now, skill-based investing is what the Wealth Creator Strategy is all about. So let me tell you a little bit more about the Wealth Creator Strategy so that you can get an idea of what I've done in order to achieve this 100 total into more than a 10 million property portfolio. The Wealth Creator Strategy, let's start at the beginning, and that is, let's look at the definition. The definition simply says it's the intelligent use of limited resources like my time, my effort, my mindsets, my attitude, my skills, my experiences to go from where you are, in my case it was 100 Rand, to where you want to be, 10 million property portfolio, in the shortest possible time. I gave myself 5 years to do this, but I've actually done it in 3 years because this accelerated principle that is based in the formula for riches that I've applied with the least amount of risk. So I've identified my risk. The risk that I was prepared to lose financially is 100 Rand. The moment that if I've lost that 100 Rand, I was out of this challenge. You see, I do not see the time that I put in, the effort that I put in other words, the energy that I put in, the way to up my skill levels and my mental faculties of the mind by improving them, that I do not see as an investment, because this is giving me experience so that I can become competent as a wealth creator to be able to do this. Okay, so now the main part, remember right in the beginning I've said there's only two parts. There's the risk and the growth. So here's the trick about life. You're going to find it in all the investments, is that if something has got a market value, but someone else does not know the market value, right, and they pay more than the market value for that, it means that in effect, over a long period of time, they're going to lose money, right? But if you can get your risk to buy below the value, that value investments that I've talked about, then the chances over a period of time, the market is going to correct. And that means that you are locking in all this as your growth, as your profit. But here's the trick. What if I am skill-based and I know how to apply the skills, which I'm going to tell you just now about? What if I can get that for just 100 Rand and I peg my risk at 100 Rand? Now I have to rely 100% on myself, on my skills, intelligent use of limited resources that I've just mentioned, to go from 100 Rand to 10 million in a period that I've said 5 years that we've achieved in literally 3, and with the least amount of risk. I was prepared to lose this 100 Rand. Right. So now that we understand this, the next question then becomes, how do you identify risk? If you're going to identify risk according to the first and the second method, in other words, in the expert-based investment or in the high-value value investing, then that risk is not dependent on you because you rely on someone else. And therefore, all these risks that they tell you about risk management, all of that becomes applicable to managing that risk because you've got no control, even that person, because he's got no control over that company that he buys into it. If the market does not like that company, it means that company is going to go bankrupt. That means you're going to lose your money. It's as simple as that. So the moment that you get into the wealth creators where it's skill-based, now suddenly, irrespective of what happens with your investment, I can tap into the higher faculties of the mind, in other words, the intelligent use of limited resources. And I can be flexible and change midway through the process. If I see this thing is not giving me that I want, I can change. You can't do that if you're locked in, for example, in a company and that company is not performing, or you see that that company is going to go under unless you get out, and then you're going to lose your capital. And Warren Buffett said, risk is when you do not understand what you're doing. And the second definition of risk is when you have got the probability or the possibility to lose capital. And his rule number 2 is never ever lose capital. Now, the maximum capital that I could lose in this challenge was 100 Rand. And this is what I see people, they find it so difficult to wrap their mind around it, that the moment that you get to a skill-based investing, everything changes. And this is a reason why I keep on hammering and I say there is no more powerful strategy. It's the most powerful strategy in the world. Yet the financial institution, especially the stock market and those guys, will never tell you about this, because that means that you are taking full control over the risk and the growth. You identify the risk, and because you identify the risk, now I can mitigate the risk, I can eliminate the risk, or I can manage that risk. In other words, my 100 Rand, if I was prepared to lose that 100 Rand, and that 100 Rand is not going to change my life, I've got absolutely no risk. Zero, no risk. The moment that you understand that everything more than 100 Rand is just a positive, and this is where the power comes in. But now it becomes even more interesting, because we know that risk is when you do not understand what you're doing. So Warren Buffett, that's his definition, by the way. So how can we then know what we do? We have to identify the risk. And once we have identified the risk, now the only way to mitigate that risk is to have the skills, okay? And there's only 4 high-value skills. The first one is mentally. It's the high-value mental skills. It's the higher faculties of the mind, or the mind powers. If that is not in place, my friend, there's no ways that you're going to start. The moment that the market starts doing this, you're going to be out of this thing. In other words, you now have to rely 100% on yourself and tap into your intuition. You have to tap into creativity. You have to tap into critical thinking, which no institution, no financial institution or no educational system will ever teach you these powerful strategies that you can apply in order to start managing yourself. In other words, everything starts mentally first. If that part is not right, the rest will never work. And that is the reason why so many or so few people can really become successful in life. Okay. Once that is in place, now there's a sequence. So let me interrupt myself. What is success? Earl Nightingale says success is a progressive realization of a worthy goal. In other words, if I've set my goal that within 5 years, which is a worthy goal to me, to have a property portfolio to the value of 10 million, that's going to give me a cap rate, say, of 12 or 20%, that is something to strive for, right? But now we also say it's a progressive realization of that goal. What does that progressive realization mean? It simply means the following. I need to get the right information or build the right skills in the right order for the level of the game that I'm at. And then I have to apply it to see that my IGR, my investment growth rate, is higher than my financial freedom growth rate. Now, these may be terminologies that you are not aware of. My financial freedom growth rate is what is the growth that I need from 100 Rand to 10 million? Well, it's 10 million %. So if I draw a straight line towards that, which is not, by the way, the right way to do it, but if I draw a straight line to that, it means that if anywhere on that period I'm above that, my IGR, my real return on my investment, is more than my financial freedom growth rate. I'm on track. What if it's not? Well, now I have to go back to the skills and I have to apply the formula for riches to see where is it that I'm going wrong? What skills do I need to get? Because those skills are stacked in different levels. So at the Wealth Creators University, for example, we say level 1 is if you do not know, or even if you've got a degree, PhD degree in finances or in management or anything, it means that you simply do not know the basics of being a wealth creator. And you have to learn right and start right at the word go mentally and then understand the terminology. Plus, in a business, for example, it means that I need to get an idea. Now, here's the trick. Mentally, it means that we were born to have everything, and we've got creativity, and we've got intuition, and we've got all of that, and there's a process that we can follow. Now, check here. In other words, I can take an idea, and I can take that idea and bring it into fruition in terms of money. Now, this means if I've got high-value mental skills, I have to turn that into a high-value income skill. So the moment that I know how to take something or sell something or create something out of nothing, because that is a wealth creator, a person that knows how to create, to grow, protect, and to enjoy their wealth. If you know how to create it, the second function now becomes to grow it. And this then moves to level 2. So in the level 2, what you need to do is to say, okay, now that I've got this money that cost me nothing, that cost nothing, how can I grow that? And one of the ways to do that is simply to turn a high-value income skill into a high-value business skill. What do I mean with that? With the income skill, I'm working for my money. In other words, I'm selling my time. But the moment that you turn it into a business, now I can get other people to help me in the process. I can start focusing on that I'm good at, or I can get systems in place, which is the next level, by the way, so that others start doing it. And now I can start getting more of the same without taking any more risk. Because remember, the initial risk was just 100 Rand. I will never ever go to the bank or to anyone else and borrow money or lend money in order to expand. So the moment that we see that now I've got a high value business skill, what do I do with that surplus money that I don't need? That becomes my investment, believe it or not. And I see people don't get it. So I can use this business like all the top companies in the world, where the business becomes my investment. Now, of course, I'm not going to the JSE and make it a public company where everyone else can invest in. I'm following it for my personal journey and, of course, to teach my students something. So that becomes my investment. In other words, if I started with nothing and within a year I've got 100,000 Rand after tax in that company, right? In terms of, let's call it rands or hard assets that I've got. It means I've got an infinite growth for my first year. Now, what happens if I repeat this process a second time and I make another 100,000? It means I've got the original, after a year, the 100,000 plus 100,000, I've got 200,000. Based on year 1 to year 2, I've got 100% growth. But check here. Based on the beginning, I've got an infinite growth. Right? Now, this becomes even more fun because if I turn this income into a business, it means that I can exponentially take the 100,000 to 1,000,000. This means that the growth in the second year is from 100,000 to 1,000,000, which means it's a 900% growth or an infinite growth from the beginning. The moment that you grasp this, you understand, okay, now it becomes fun because if I keep that money within that business, even if it's in a fixed deposit or even if it's in my check account, and people don't get this, that in 3 years' time, if there's 10 million, what do? I take the money from my one pocket and I put it in another pocket. So I find a property that will, in general, give me an infinite growth. In other words, this property should not cost me a cent, even if I borrow the money that we are doing in the property accelerator, in the property mentoring courses, where we show people how to create those properties because you're not going to find them. You have to create them. Do you know that this deal that I've just talked about, that I've signed, the 10 million, I've worked 9 months on that deal. 9 months. Most people will give up, or they say it's impossible, or when they go to the bank says, no, sorry, we're not going to give it. Of course the bank's not going to give me the money. I'm 67 years old. They're going to have 200 million excuses. I haven't drawn a salary from 95 till today. So how do you think I'm going to get a bond? So because I know that I can't rely on the bank, I have to rely on myself. I have to rely on my skills to build these skills. I hope that you see where we're going. So now this 10 million there becomes 10 million here. But this 10 million is on immediately, because of the skills that I've got, more value than 10 million in the bank. I hope that you can see it, because this property perhaps is 20 million or let's say 12 million. But now I can apply the same thing to the property. If you work at a cap rate of, let's say 10% or 12%, let's make it easy. That means this property, if it can give me 120,000 Rand per month after all expenses, it means the value, if I cap it at 12%, it is 10 million, right? Now, what if I could take this income of this entity, this property, and double that? Immediately the value of this property doubles. And I'm going to show you that that is exactly what I'm going to do, because when I took on the challenge, I said that within 5 years, I built a portfolio to the value of 20 million. Now we're in year 3 and we're already at the 10 million without doing anything else, just by focusing on this property and getting the double, a little bit less than doubling the net effect before tax at a 12% cap rate. That property is going to be worth 20 million. But here's the trick. In terms of the way that everyone else do the valuation, what if I can cap it at 9%? Then suddenly that property is worth a lot more. And this is how you build wealth. Now, the trick is I don't rely on someone else in order to do it, except for my business team. That's the only place where I rely on someone to help me to achieve this. And the moment that you get this, it's about the skills. So here we go. Level 1, you have the idea and you have to understand who you are. Once you understand the potential that's within you and you are willing to learn the skills, now we move on to level 2. Level 2 is where you create this process. Let's call it, this is where you set the goal. This is where you understand the formula for riches. My intent equals that I want to achieve. What do I need to do in order to make this goal a reality? In the power goals, I'm explaining that. Before we can do that, we start off with the mental side. We call it the quantum awakening, to give you an indication of what is your potential, how to tap into that potential, how to set up your environment so that you can optimize that environment. Because 99% of the people that I know, their environment was set up by the environment. In other words, they did not create that environment. And that is why they do not know how to tap into their creativity and the higher faculties of the mind. But the moment that you know how to do this and use that you've already got, suddenly your attitude changes. So what's your attitude? Your attitude is the way that you think, feel, and do. That relates down to your attitude. But there's something before the way that you think, and that is your belief system. If you've got the wrong belief system and you believe this nonsense that the financial institutions and the educational system is telling you, then you're always going to get the results. That is insanity. Insanity is doing the same thing over and over, expecting a different result. You hop from Sanlam to Mutual, from Mutual to offshore, from offshore you come back, and then you go to Liberty, and then you change the fund. It's madness. And yet this is what people are doing. And they do it without thinking, and they think they are busy with problem solving, creative problem solving. It's nonsense, because you keep in that state of mind where the system is controlled by the people that wants you to think that way. You have to let go of that belief system. If you're not prepared to let go of that belief system, I can guarantee you with a 99.9% outcome, you will not be rich in 10 years, especially if you've got only 100 Rand or even 1,000 Rand per month to invest. It is impossible. Yet people don't want to do and learn the necessary skills to go from level 1 to level 2. But level 2 is basically high school. Now you need to go and get a degree. That is another level. That means a little bit more skills. But here's the trick. We start stacking the skills on top of one another. Most people go for a skill, it's not working, they try another skill, it's not working, they try another skill. Now, that's not the way to work. You set your goal, that progressive realization. You need to know what level you are. In that level, you start getting the skills that you need in order to make that level so that you can automatically progress to a level above that. In the next level, that is where the fun starts, because now you start building systems, you start building the teams around you, even in property or in cryptos. You start building those skills. And the moment that you've got that, then you get to mastery, where you can get everything basically for free. Then everything in life is for free. This house that I've got, I got it for free. The house next door, I got it for free. Helicopters for free. Game farms for free. We are living in a world of abundance, but as long as you've got this scarcity mentality, you're only going to see scarcity, because that's your belief system. That's the way that you think. That's the way that the system indoctrinates you. That is the way that you're going to feel. If you feel like there's not enough in your life, how can you live a life of abundance? How can you have everything that you want? How can you have it in every area of your life, in your health, in your relationship, with the spiritual side? It's flipping impossible, but yet most people don't want to put in the time and the effort in order to learn the skills so that they can have a skill-based skills. And the moment that you do that, my friend, you're out of this rat race. And this is what I'm trying to tell people. Now, maybe in the next video, if you want to, maybe you can comment and say, please tell me more about the level 1, because that is where it starts. You can't start at level 4 if you don't know the basics at a level 1. What is a level 1, right? And that's a question that people actually should ask. But Hannes, where did you start and how did you start? So if you want to know that, in the comment section, wherever you're going to see this, let me know and say, please tell me more about, or just say level 1. And if I'm getting enough comments on this, I'm going to do another video just based on level 1. But there's an easier way for you to get the big picture. That is, if you want, and if you are prepared to put in 3 to 4 hours with me. And we call that the Wealth Creators Road to Riches. In the Wealth Creators Road to Riches, I'm first going to explain to you the reason why you will not get out of this rat race. And it's far bigger than what you imagine. How? The system is geared against you. All the systems, the financial system, the political system, the religious system, the pharmaceutical system, you name it. We are living in a very hostile world. And there's a verse that says, we are not from this world. We are in this world, but we are not from this world. And the moment that you understand that this has to do with your mindset, with your attitude, then the journey can start. So I'm going to put a lot of emphasis, the first part, in how the system, the educational system, financial system, has got us into the problems that we've got, and that they created the problems because they are only allowed to sell their solutions. And their solutions is to keep you poor. Believe it or not, come to that masterclass and you will discover. But then the fun's going to start, because then in the second part, I'm going to give you the different levels, what you need to do to move through the levels in mentally, in investments, in property, in cryptos, in business. The moment that you understand that there's a sequence, that there's a path to follow, then you have to decide, am I going to do it, yes or no? Because is it easy? Yeah, level 1 is easy. If you just want to learn about property, it's easy. But if you want to maintain that over a long period, now I have to gain more skills that I have to stack on top of one another. And that is exactly what I'm going to explain in the Wealth Creators Road to Riches. So you're going to find a link somewhere on this page. Now, I want to invite you to do something else if you want to. If you've got a question that you think I can explain in a video like this, please, in the comment section, post that question. And then I'll see if I can't help you to get a better understanding. So please do not post a simple question like, but how did you do it? That means nothing. Give me a more meaningful question, something that I can help you, because the better you're going to formulate that question, the better I can help you. This is my offer to you as part of this 500K challenge that I've got. And by the way, if you don't know about this 500K challenge, we'll give a link in the description as well to follow this playlist of the 500K challenge. And you're going to be surprised to see how much you can actually learn. But at the end of the day, the decision is yours. Are you going to take this opportunity and do something with it and start investing in yourself? Or do you think there's an easy way where you can give your money to someone else expecting to have a life of freedom? My friend, if that is the case and you rely on experts, somewhere you are confoculated, because it's not going to work that way. And confoculated is simply when you do not know that you don't know what you're supposed to know. And you're supposed to know that you were born to have a life of abundance, not to have this damn scarcity and to have this debt and to, no, that was not the idea. But if that is what you want to believe and you're sitting in that situation, unless you are prepared to change your mindset, your belief systems, nothing for you is going to change. And I know it sounds harsh, but I'm doing this because I love you and I want each and every person to become as successful as they were meant to be. So thank you for your time. If you like this video, give it a like, give it a thumbs up, subscribe to my channel if you haven't done so already, and then start joining this journey, because I've taken on another journey, but I'll tell you about that in another video. And that is, well, it's mind-boggling. Let me know if you want more information like this or if you want more journeys like this, and I'll see you in the next one.